or palms, or for us Star-Lord, means that we're going to divide the formation in half. We're going to have 3/2 on one side and 3/2 on the other side. Because we are a 3-4/4-2-5 system, you have a couple different options that you can do with the interior interior 5. So one of the things that we've done, and when we're in our odd structure, we have determined that our will is our 4th defender in our odd structure. So that simply means that he's got 3 options based on what we tell him to do. He can spy the quarterback. He can be a low hole player and be an extra robber in the hole, or he can blitz the quarterback. That's in our odd structure. That means that our SAM, which we often refer to as both our SAM and or our nickel, those terms are interchangeable, and our rush are in the coverage. Now, if we go to our odd space, or correction, for our even spacing, that means that we take our rush and we bring him down into the box, either by blitz, or we move our tackle over, our nose over, and our end over, and that bumps our will out of the box. And now we've got our 4-man structure to execute these coverages. So here's the point I'm trying to make before we go any further. You have 2 choices. Your rush can either be part of the 3/2 on the weak side of the formation, or your will can be part of this equation. However you decide to do it is completely up to you. Now, let me go over a couple of these terms on here before we get into the diagrams of specific pass plays and how we defend it, as well as some cut-ups. So going to the strong side of the formation, our corner is going to match 1-2. Our SAM or nickel is going to work a 3-2 push with the Mike, and our strong safety is going to match 2-1. Now, what do each of these terms mean? Simply put, our corner is going to defend number 1 until he feels he's threatened by number 2 into the flat. Now, a lot of people ask us the question, at what point do we tell our corner and our safety to make a decision on how deep number 2 goes? I've heard people say, well, at 10 yards, at 12 yards. I've heard some people say, at 8 yards. I don't know if that's the best way to do it. For us, it's not. What we tell both our corner and our strong safety, and it applies to our free safety and our corner on this side, is that once this number 2 goes past our outside linebacker / nickel / inverted defender, that's when we make our decision. If that number 2 is going vertical and he passes the outside linebacker, that tells him, all right, you now bought this guy, and you now have bought the number 1. That's how we determine it. We don't give him a yardage because we just feel that's too hard for our kids to differentiate. So we tell, again, our strong safety in our corner, when this guy pushes past the Sam backer or our nickel, you now bought him, and you now bought number 1. All right, next thing. Let's talk about 3-2 push. 3-2 push means that our Sam and our Mike, based on the alignment of the number 3, which in this case is the running back, offset to the Mike side, that these 2 are going to work as a tandem between 2 and 3. Example, if number 2 goes in and number 3 swings out, then our Mike is now going to pick up the new number 3, and the Sam backer will pick up the new number 2. However, when he does this, he's not going to drive up and take him right now. He is simply going to open up, looking for the curl route of number 1. That helps out both our corner and our safety. If they do throw to the swing, then we're going to go ahead and rally up to it. So that's what 3-2 push means. Now, our Mike backer and our nickel / Sam have the ability to call off 3-2 push anytime they want pre-snap. So if pre-snap, the Mike backer says, hey, I don't want to 3-2 push this, or vice versa, the Sam says, hey, no push, then simply put, the Sam backer is going to wall him off, and if we get a swing route, then that means the Mike is going to jump him right now. And we give our players the freedom to do this because it could be based on split alignment of number 2. It could be based on skill set of who the number 2 and the number 3 is. We allow them the freedom to do this. Now, I've already explained what we do with our will. Again, if we have our will spy the quarterback, he's simply going to mug up. And if the quarterback takes off and runs, he'll jump him. If we want to blitz him, then we can certainly do that. And then the third option is he'll be a low hole robber player, where once he reads pass, he'll then drop into the low hole. It gets us into a quasi three safety look if we want to. Let's talk about the weak side rush or will, depending on who you want defending in the 3/2 concept to the short side or to the weak side. We tell our rush when the running back is away from you, okay, when the running back is away from you, you cannot allow this number 2 to come across the formation. You must wall this guy off. Now, if the number 3 crosses the quarterback's face, okay, or he releases this way, or he quick cheat motions or shift motions this way, now he becomes the 3-2 push player with our will, and now the Mike is now either spying, blitzing, or dropping into coverage, okay? So, but let's just pretend for 1 second that this running back does not come this way. He stays on this side. Our rush knows that I have got to wall this guy off. I cannot let this guy run free across the formation, because if we have a drive concept as an example, okay, and they swing this guy, our Sam backer is going to be here. He's going to push, and he's going to be looking to help out number 1, and then rallying up to him. Our Mike backer, who's now working in the push with the Sam, you've got nobody to cover this, especially if you've got a spy or a blitz on with your will backer. So this is why we tell our rush, you've got to wall and carry number 2 across the formation. Now, that means that if they're doing some kind of a square in here, a dig or a curl or a post, that leaves our free safety in our corner on top. All right, so this is how we are going to defend 2x2 using the Star-Lord concept. So let's take a look at a couple adjustments that we'll make should they motion. So if they motion to 3x1, and I'm going to do a separate talk on defending trips, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail about how we're going to do that, but I just want to make sure that we all understand that for us, we use a 2-code system when calling our coverages. We use a color to differentiate between cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, and we use a code word to differentiate when a team comes out in trips. So for example, green serpent. Green is we're going to run a quarters concept versus 2x2. Serpent is what we're going to check to if they come out in trips or if they motion to trips. So what you're looking at on this slide are some of the different checks that we will call if they motion either the slot or the running back on the formation. So again, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail about this because this will be a separate talk, but that's just something that's important that you need to understand. Now, let me go back to the previous slide. So Star-Lord is the concept, okay? So green is quarters, Star-Lord is our palms or 2-read concept, okay? And then I'll go over the other concepts that we do out of our quarters-based package. All right, so let's go into defending specific combinations. All right, easy, simplest one. If we get 4 verts, it tells our safeties and our corners, you are now locked up on 1, our strong and free safeties locked up on 2. The Sam backer will carry number 2, as will our rush or our will, whoever you have in the concept over here, okay? You're going to carry number 2 to about a depth of 10 to 12 yards and then let him go, okay? And then you're looking for number 3 coming out. While you're walling and carrying number 2, you're looking for number 1 coming in on a possible dig, okay? But let's assume that that's not happening. We get 4 verts. That's what it's going to look like. Okay, if we get double hitches, on the left, our Sam backer is going to, our nickel Sam is going to expand to 1. Our strong safety will drive on 2, with our Mike helping out late on number 2, assuming this number 3 is staying in the backfield. Okay, if they were to do a hitch and a vertical route, our rush would get to number 1. Our corner would let this go and continue to sink, expecting a corner route or smash concept by number 2, and our free safety would carry number 2 vertical. All right, next route combination. If we were to get any kind of a vertical by 1, but an out by 2, Our corner would come off and defend that out. Our SAM would take care of any dig or curl concept, while our strong safety would work to defend the post as well as the dig and a vertical route.